Miss me, guys? How y'all doing? It's been like almost a week since I've been live here on this channel. Yep, guys. How y'all doing? This is the Club of the Man 1993 for the first time since last Friday with a beard that will come off at some point tonight. I can guarantee that. But we are live for my live review of this past Monday's episode of Monday Night Raw. The second to last episode of Raw at the WWE Thunderdome at the Yuengling Center in Tampa, Florida. As, of course, now technically we are a little over a week away from Money in the Bank 2021. Check out my card predictions if you haven't done so yet. Not getting many views, as usual. That was, of course, a late one, but who cares? But, yep, guys, I'm here live again. I am back. My 4th of July weekend was glorious. Working that wedding. Spending 2 days with my girlfriend was very refreshing. Well needed after the craziness I've been dealing with at work recently. This week so far has been a little bit better. A couple little bumps here and there. But I'm getting by. And also I have a very, very, very full belly right now of 15 of some crispy, tangy, honey barbecue and palm garlic flavor. Yes, I had boneless chicken wings tonight from Buffalo Wild Wings. So, yes, I'm in a good mood. I was going to try to start catching up. I mean, I'm probably going to start Tuesday night, but I was editing my wedding stuff. And then, yes, last night, for Road Rager, my good friend Joe came over to watch it. After he left, not even a half hour after he left, I passed out in my room like a light. Like, I came up here, it was like 10:30, I sat down just for a second, I was going to at least review Raw, passed out like a light. So, I fell asleep, and I woke up at 12:30, and I'm just like, yeah, I can't do any reviews now, so I gotta be at work in a few hours. Well, I went in normal time today. I've been not going in early as much this week, because things are starting to get a little bit better with work goes. But I'm wasting your time. You're here for me to talk wrestling, right? Well, let me tell you something. Well, let me tell you something, brother. Tonight, I'm going to try, can't guarantee, try to get all 3 wrestling shows I need to review caught up on. Starting with Raw, NXT, NXT TakeOver, NXT Great American Bash, and AEW Road Rager. Both of those are good shows. But in between, I have to take care of some, wedding editing stuff on my part. So I can't guarantee all of them, but I will try my best. But of course, also, I do have a turn alert that I'm going to upload after this stream also. But of course, we got to start with the worst one first. Monday nights. Monday's the worst day of the week, in my opinion, even though this week I was off and with my girlfriend. So I did not watch Raw this week. I, of course, since I've been trying to watch Raw with fans due to come back soon, I at least gave it a shot. For the past 2 weeks, there was some things on Raw that was like, okay, if WWE actually does try, some of these things could be good. And where did it go? This show was awful. I didn't even watch the whole show. I just watched the highlights, but this show was awful. So bad. It was so bad that this is the show to me that, if I can say officially, in my opinion, unfortunately, really hurt Drew McIntyre. Because of a certain promo and a certain monster that he somehow introduced tonight. And once again, just like Roman Reigns, just like Braun Strowman, just like so many others, had that one promo to me that turned him in to a child's play toy. Because of what he's done with his sword. And it's very, very unfortunate. How to stop this? Of course, by doing the thing of not making him into the next Roman Reigns or John Cena. We'll talk about that, though, when it gets to it, because I have some nails to bite on that one, because the feud they're doing with him now is kind of one I said just do it. But I, of course, will explain how they're doing it, but it's worse than it should be. We'll talk about that. I spent 6 minutes already talking about random crap, guys. Let's just talk about this show and move on with our lives. Because this show was bad. It was a very bad show. Tyler gave it an F. I gave it a D out of courtesy. But this was just like flat out like lazy. It was boring. It was literally shit thrown on the wall. That's what this show was. And he says AJ should go back to SmackDown, and that Riddle sucks. The reason why, of course, I keep saying AJ Styles is on Raw is apparently because he wants to be able to be around his family on Fridays, which I understand. So, I don't think so. Riddle sucks. Yeah, I can agree. I hate how they booked Matt Riddle. Again, they literally took what was cool. It's like the corniest thing that Matt Riddle, I think, ever did in NXT. Why is Lana? Oh, wait, she's not here anymore. That is true. I will try to, at some point, maybe, don't know when, try to do some type of video talking about her interview on Talk Is Jericho. We hope we'll have somebody else have an interview on Talk Is Jericho soon. A certain someone. We'll talk about that when we get the Road Rager. Yeah, that's right. Lana, of course, is not here anymore, and who knows where she's going to go. But yeah, I just hate what they've done with Matt Riddle. I just hate it. We'll start off by talking about that as how the show opened up. The show opened up with an episode of Miz TV. And to me, it was like they were kind of, for what it seemed to me, they were trying to, repeat what they had that one segment back in 2016 with, I think it was Jericho, Ambrose, Del Rio. Who else was in that match? Jericho, Ambrose, Del Rio, Kevin Owens, Jericho, Ambrose, Del Rio, Kevin Owens. Who are the other two people in that ladder match? Hang on. Money in the Bank 2016. One of my favorite pay-per-views. Well, the second half, at least, is one of the best pay-per-views I've ever seen. Money in the Bank 2016 full show. I need to see the results. Who was in that ladder match? That's what I can't remember. Let me see here. Okay. Sami Zayn and Cesaro. Wow, how did I forget those names? So, they had a segment in 2016 with the six of them sitting on ladders and talking. And that segment worked good. And, of course, they had the right people in it. But, of course, you got guys like Matt Riddle who's sitting up on a ladder saying stuff like, oh, I'm feeling all high and whatnot. And it just so corny it didn't work. AJ Styles, I guess, came out and says how, I guess, first off, let's just read off what all happened here. Miz welcomes us to the show, establishes his guests, and he proclaims will be Mr. Money in the Bank, and no one other than John Morrison. Morrison says he's going to win the briefcase, and then McIntyre says that Miz is the reason he has a love-hate relationship with the briefcase, given that Miz cashed in on him this year and all. And since the Money in the Bank is in Texas, he has to talk about the Alamo. He's a distant relative of Davy Crockett and his great-great-great-grandma Miriam McIntyre the fourth. And then Ricochet comes out and calls for a replay of Ricochet. Miz calls for a replay of Ricochet's dive of last week, and demands that Ricochet explain himself. Ricochet admits he's shook and he knows John is too, but that was just a little taste of what he's willing to do to grab the Money in the Bank contract. Okay. Then out comes Matt Riddle and his stupid scooter, and And he says he's doing what he thought he was supposed to do, and he's really high. And also savvy as he let down his bro Randy Orton last week. So he's going to dedicate his Money in the Bank match to Randy Orton. He talks about the day he's going to take Randy Orton on after he wins, and then Miz yells at him to shut up. Drew tells him he respects what a good man he is. Miz rambles. Out comes AJ Styles and Omos, and AJ Styles complains about how the last match shouldn't have been a triple threat, should have been a singles match. He wasn't pinned. He still thinks he deserves to be in the match, but then Riddle mocks AJ for hopping around all, like he's injured and whatnot. Offers Omos a high five, which the big man knocks Riddle off the ladder after he's feeling high. And then there was just some type of brawl, and then it leads to a random ass match with Ricochet and John Morrison. Isn't it sad that, you can have a good match one week, but then the same match the next week, and it's bad? Yeah. They literally have this match, and the match ends by count out again. Not because of a crazy crossbody dive that Ricochet does on John Morrison. That was cool. This time, they have Ricochet trying to crawl on the floor like a baby, trying to get back into the match, except Miz is riding his wheelchair back and forth in front of Ricochet. And that's what stopped Ricochet from getting back inside the match. So you got a guy with quickness and agility, yet he can't outdo a man in a wheelchair. He can't get around a man in a wheelchair to get back in the ring after he had so much stinking time to do it. Yeah, so that was the first of... Was there any matches on the show that did not end by a distraction or count out or some sort of cheap heel tactic or a cheating tactic at some point? No, I think they all were. They just about all were. So yeah, Ricochet loses by count out because he was blocked away by a wheelchair. After he had plenty of time, the man could have just jumped over Miz or something for crying out loud, but nope. Having to look an idiot again. Congratulations, WWE. You're just idiots. Then we have a segment with Jinder freaking Mahal. Jinder Mahal arrives in a motorcycle, who's greeted by Veer and Shanky. I think they were the guys that were in that Indus Sheer tag team that Malcolm Bivens was starting to do last year that I wasn't a big fan of. Jinder mentions Drew McIntyre. They were close friends. Drew was with him when he picked up his beautiful custom motorcycle to celebrate one of his many successful WWE title defenses. Ha 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 ha! Successful WWE title defenses. Remember again when Jinder Mahal was WWE champion? I feel like it was just yesterday, right? Do you miss it, guys? No! No, definitely no, I do not miss that. Anyways, he says, but he was there for me with that, but a little while ago, he ignored a text message. Well, he ignored it for 3 days, then he turned me down. He disrespected me by typing 2 as shorthand for 2. So I've always been better than Drew anyways, though. I'm going to prove it tonight. Over a text message? Over a text message. Okay, here's the thing. Here is the thing. I want to already say this and get into this rant officially. I'm guilty as saying, once they get Drew McIntyre away from the WWE Championship, which they kind of have, but not really for now, since he's in the Money in the Bank ladder match, I said, if you really want to give him something to do, have him feud with Jinder Mahal to keep his momentum, because they actually do have history. 3MB. Jinder's a former world champion. Even though you hate to admit it, he's a former world champion. So is Drew McIntyre. And obviously, maybe Jinder's jealous. But you can't tell me the man's jealous if he's sending a text message to him to hang out for old time's sake. Just because he said one time, he turned him down one time, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. It's like when I'm in college. I refer back to this teacher a lot because even though he wasn't one of my favorite teachers, he was one of those people that did make me think a lot whenever it came to like directing for for movies or like any like writing any type of like story or whatnot for screenplay. It's like if you just have a random ass video of a random ass couple just randomly breaking up, but you have like no like momentum behind the breakup. Like if Jinder Mahal's cool with Drew McIntyre, the tag's going, "Hey, want to hang out?" "No, sorry, I'm too busy," and uses the two instead of spelling out two. Oh my gosh, the end of the world! Like, he's not available. Like, why should you hate him for that? This is called overproducing. Obviously, Jinder should be jealous of Drew's recent success, and what I thought they should have done, even though I wouldn't have, it's so, again, either way, any feud with Jinder Mahal is going to instantly turn me off, because I just don't like Jinder Mahal. Nobody likes Jinder Mahal. Well, some people do. If you do, cool, but I'm not a fan of Jinder Mahal. All they had to do was have Jinder Mahal have cost Drew McIntyre the triple threat match last week. That's all he had to do. He had a reason. He wanted to get a shot. He couldn't get it, so he takes out the one man who he's jealous of, his former friend. Instead of just acting like, "Oh, I'm cool with him," and then all of a sudden when he says no to me, he cries like a baby. So yeah, that's exactly what this feud is. But no. We're not done yet. No. We'll get to Mr. McIntyre in a bit. So yeah, he's whining about that. Then we have a segment with Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, and Reginald hanging out backstage. And Reginald is spooked because he thinks he sees Alexa Bliss in the darkness. Shayna criticized him even though she was a scared little sissy from Alexa also. Alexa was indeed creeping around in the darkness. Then we have a recap of Lashley and Kingston's business. Then we get a recap of Nikki Cross's match last week. And then we see Asuka, Naomi, and Nikki in Gorilla. Asuka and Naomi blow her up with joy over her new character, and Ash clarifies and talks about her chance. No, that's still weird. Is she Nikki Cross or is she Nikki Ash? Because apparently Ash stands for almost a superhero. And again, I can't knock WWE for it because again, it's all Nikki's idea. It's all her idea, and I hate it. I hate it. She's overjoyed and talks about her chance of winning, but Asuka and Naomi make their case as well, and Nikki's music hits, and Alexa Bliss rolls up and tells them, in fact, that she is going to win. And then they have this random-ass 8-woman tag team match. Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Naomi, and Nikki Cross, or Nikki Ash, whatever her name is. Maybe Vince loves saying, "Nikki's ass, Nikki's ass." You're dreaming of Nikki Bella's ass. Oh! The same one that John Cena invited right into his bedroom and threw it right back out of there. Credit to Ronda Rousey for that, of course. Anyways, man, I'm nailing it now, but oh man. We have this random-ass 8-woman tag match. And the heels were Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Eva Marie, and Doudrop. Of course, the heels win. Nia Jax still gets the pin on Nikki Cross. Then Eva Marie says she's the winner, of course. But, to me, it's like there's going to be no tension between those four anyways. So, whatever. So that was stupid. Lashley and MVP were in their party room, and MVP says next time you want to speak to the Almighty, make an appointment. He changed Bobby's match to a tag match because Xavier doesn't belong in the same ring with him after Lashley demolished him. MVP also will not be disrespected. Lashley takes the microphone and disputes Kofi's description of him as soft because there isn't a soft bone in his body. They're going to hurt the new business because they are the hurt. The new business. The New Day because they are the hurt business, and that's what they do. Yeah, what hurt business? What hurt business? Again, remember the actual hurt business with Lashley, MVP, Shelton, Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander, and how cool and refreshing that was, and they had to split them up. Yeah, remember that? Do you remember that? I do too. I know, I miss it too. Mansoor had a match with Mustafa Ali, and then Ali wins the victory roll. Ollie reminds him that the high road will only get him so far. He needs to stop thinking with his heart and start thinking with his mind. Whatever. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Here it comes. We've got Drew McIntyre in the back. He's getting ready to have a match with Jinder Mahal on Raw. And he's being interviewed. He heard about Jinder Mahal talking about text messages earlier, but he's just glad he's willing to fight tonight. And then he says, you want to know the true origins of its sword and where it came from. And let's rewind ourselves here. What made Drew McIntyre feel take another step to another? What I loved about, even though they randomly had him drop the title to Randy Orton, but then just to win it back, I felt like in the midst of all of that, they spiced up his character a little bit, just a little bit more. Added in that sword, the kilt, changing the entrance a little bit. I thought it was great. And to me, they made it seem like when Sheamus gave Drew the sword back before Survivor Series, it was some type of like a family heritage, like some type of very important piece to the family. And I'm like, you know what? It's organic, and Drew's character as champion was organic. It was just himself. Just a true story of Drew McIntyre. You know, came to WWE, didn't work out the first time, got fired, started from scratch, reinvented himself, came back in 2017, briefly in NXT, main roster, built himself back up, and became a world champion, became a main eventer. A guy that both the crowd and the company wanted to push. And when he spices the swords, like that's just, that makes him an even better character. I loved it. Here's where it's like, boom, the character's dead. Well, not the character, but the whole point of the sword is now a joke. Drew McIntyre tells this story about how it got its name. And it was made from the tooth of the Loch Ness Monster. It was made by the Loch Ness Monster. So here goes Drew McIntyre now, pulling a Roman Reigns, Jack and the Beanstalk, suffering succotash promo by making his sword into a freaking child's play toy. Damn it! I hate when they do that. They did that to Roman Reigns with the whole Jack and the Beanstalk, suffering succotash, telling Lars Sullivan telling nursery rhymes. Remember his Three Blind Mice promo? Yeah, I know no one doesn't remember much about Lars Sullivan on the main roster at all whatsoever before he got released. But yeah, when he feuded with the Lucha House Party, he had that Three Blind Mice promo. And the whole bully promos he had when he briefly came out before quietly being released. And now, of course, they have Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is now telling stories about monsters. Like fantasy stories about monsters. Like he's reading a children's book. Why do you do this? Again, as I said before, this feud with Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre is not going to be anything special. But at least they have history. At least they have history, which is a little bit manageable. They're overproducing this, and now they're instead of making Drew McIntyre's sword into something like special, something organic, something like like some type of special part of the family, like or the heritage. Instead, it's now like a children's book toy. That's what they made this sword out to be. It was made from the tooth of the Loch Ness Monster. So he tells his freaking story, and then he continues to say some way that somehow ends up with him beating Jinder Mahal. And then he has the match with Jinder, and the match ends in a disqualification when Veer and Shanky come in and interfere. Jinder then hits him with the Colossus, and then goes up the stage and says that McIntyre, you took the opportunity. I'm going to take your precious sword. But I don't care because it's like, okay, if that's a piece of family heritage and whatnot, then yes, that's a way to feel heartfelt sympathy. Like, oh my gosh, how could he? That actually could put good heat on Jinder Mahal. Actually make him look like a good villain. But instead, no. He's crying about text messages, and that literally was like, hey, let's hang out, buddy. I can't, I'm sorry. And then we have Drew McIntyre telling the tale of the Loch Ness Monster. That's how his sword was made. The tooth of a make-believe monster. Oh, God. Oh, God. This show was so bad. It was so bad. New Day did an interview backstage. They accept the challenge to the tag match tonight. Basically. And then we have the Lucha House Party taking on T-Bar and Mace, calling themselves now the Extinction. Why? They have nothing else for them. They're not going to call them by their real names, Dio Madden and Dominic Dijakovic. Dio Madden I can understand, at least because he was never really wrestled. Dijakovic, though, it's Dominic freaking Dijakovic! The guy I literally was not even a fan of until he had his series of matches with Keith Lee! And the guy's awesome! But no, he can't even wrestle his high-flying style. He can't wrestle like a big man. He wrestles like a... He's as stiff as a board when he wrestles. And his name's still T-Bar. And they lose to the Lucha House Party. They lost to the Lucha House Party. Matt Riddle's then backstage, get his foot checked on with Damian Priest. Rolls up and asks him if he's good. Riddle says, I've fallen from higher. Priest tells him he's got to take it easy and not hurt his chance of winning Money in the Bank. So why is Damian Priest all of a sudden like being like Matt Riddle's best buddy all of a sudden? I don't know. And Riddle has a match with AJ Styles, and Riddle wins the schoolboy pin, of course. Whatever. And you thought we were done with our crappy stuff. Let's talk about this segment. Another candidate for worst storyline of the year. We have Charlotte Flair come out to the ring on crutches because her and Rhea Ripley took each other's knees out last week. She comes out and says, she talks about first the NBA turmoil due to top stars being injured, and says that her possibly missing Money in the Bank due to an injury that was bigger news than that. Rhea is so scared to lose her title that she's resorted to using Charlotte's own moves against her, but nobody is better than her. Out comes Rhea Ripley, also on crutches, mocking and just gets on the mic and says Charlotte's right. She did exactly what she would have done, which is exactly what she's going to do now. She sees right through her and she can play her game way better than she can. And they both basically just dropped the crutch. Basically, it was like, yep, we're good. We were just a ruse. And then they literally started like sword fighting with the crutch. These two were playing sword fighting like a bunch of 5-year-olds with their crutches. It's bad enough that this storyline doesn't have a true face, doesn't have a true heel. What I think they're trying to do here is they're basically trying to show they're both just as good. One's just as good as the other. They're trying to tell that story there. But to me, it's just making them both look horrible. They're losing by countout to Nikki Cross. They're having, the person who should be the baby face in this feud, Rhea Ripley, the heel, by losing by disqualification, by pushing the desk cover, the announce table cover on top of Charlotte, which was stupid DQ. And I don't know, in some ways I gotta say, like, I get it what they're trying to do, but to me it's just not working. It's making both of them look lousy. Especially Rhea, like I said, they're making Rhea look like the heel in all this. They're making Rhea Ripley the heel when the true heel should be Charlotte Flair. So dumb. I don't understand this logic. Akira Tozawa was running around and was covered by R-Truth for a 24/7 title. Then we have a random ass tag match with Cedric Alexander and Elias versus R-Truth and Jackson Riker. Jackson and Truth win by pinfall, and then whatever. And then we're gonna have the Raw Tag Title match next week with Styles and Omos and the Viking Raiders. And then the main event, I guess, was Hurt Business versus New Day, and a New Day win with a Trouble in Paradise from Kofi Kingston on MVP, and that was it. That was it. There really was nothing in this show. This show, okay, the past 2 weeks, there was stuff that like gave you inklings, like, okay, if WWE actually does right, this could be good. But then there's also the I can't trust WWE, and that's why I gave those shows lower grades. Well, I was right, because look at this show. This show, again, was a piece of garbage. They literally pulled out all the garbage from the garbage can, threw it on the wall, and said, there's a show for you. There's an entertaining show. Overproduced, and just... I still can't get over that. The Loch Ness Monster's tooth is the creator. Is the material. Is where Drew McIntyre's sword came from. And you wonder why the fans are starting to get sick of Drew McIntyre. And then you get him out of the championship scene. Well, for now, you still put him in Money in the Bank, which I still felt they should have just had him and Jinder have a feud, not overproduced like this, but I still thought they should have put like AJ Styles in that match. Again, AJ with Ricochet, Morrison, and Riddle, and then of course on SmackDown you got Big E, Kevin Owens now is hoping to be Sami Zayn, and either Cesaro or Seth Rollins, hoping Cesaro, or Shinsuke Nakamura or Baron Corbin, hopefully Nakamura. That's an awesome looking match right there. But now you're literally having them cut, Jack and the Beanstalk caliber promos from Roman Reigns. And now I'm worried. Let me tell you something again. If they do put that briefcase on Drew McIntyre at Money in the Bank, he is asking. They're asking for us to hate him. And it's a shame because a year ago, both WWE and ourselves, we wanted Drew McIntyre. And we still want Drew McIntyre. We just want a break from Drew McIntyre being in the world title scene. That's all we asked for, but nope, it's too hard. So I gave this show a D. I gave it a flat D. Live chat, what we got here? Are they doing Randy Orton versus Riddle at SummerSlam? Maybe, I don't know. Drew should not be in the ladder match. It should be AJ. He doesn't want to remind that Jinder is champion for sure. Drew is better as champion. JR says, they're going to say that counts as a real victory how Eva Marie's been winning. Then going to give Eva Marie the Raw Women's Championship. Oh, dear God, no. I mean, if it was Doudrop winning... Okay, I'm sorry. If it was Piper Niven winning the championship, but then Eva Marie taking credit for it, I'll take that. But if Eva Marie literally wins a title, then I'm not going to take that at all. Watching old Raws from 20 years ago to today's Raw, Eva can't wrestle. That whole tech match is dumb. And then Jericho's billing hot coffee on Kane. Rhea's a heel, champions all the time. Me playing W2K19 Universe is better than real life booking. That is for sure. But yeah, that's my review of Raw, guys. I didn't even watch it and I ranted on it, especially the Loch Ness Monster. Dear Lord. So that's gonna do it for this review. I'm going to upload a turn alert, do one thing for like my wedding video stuff, and then I'll come back up here in a little bit to do my NXT Great American Bash review, then do the other thing I wanted to do, then if I have the time and I feel up to it, do my AEW Road Rager review tonight. That is my plan. So guys, we got the worst one out of the way. That's Raw. What are your thoughts on this show, guys? Make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments section below. I gave it a D. Slap a like on the video. Subscribe for more content to my channel. Follow me on Twitter at TheManAirMoney3. Please don't go looking up the Loch Ness Monster. And that's going to do it, guys. Check it out. See you later on tonight. Peace out, everybody.